Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
We will publish the video and the materials on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. So welcome everybody. Today we have a very extremely interesting session about the proximity and social economy industrial ecosystem. Okay, we will take 1 hour. We have 4 speakers, so the recommendation is to dedicate maximum 10 minutes for a speaker. Okay, that will allow us at the end to have an open dialogue. And when I say open, is that is in fact recommended to participate, okay, to all the attendants. Okay, the point is to really enrich our reflection with your expertise. I don't know if Karel is with us. Are you there? No, I don't see Karel here yet. I hope he will join us soon. There is another recommendation. You can use the chat. I see that there are comments from Elena, Nina, and Jan now. Okay, so it's a possibility to use the chat, and anyway, as I said, you will have the opportunity to speak at the end. Just for those of you that are here for the first time, this is what we call a forum. It's called the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. It's organized by different organizations. I am president of the European Cluster Alliance, but there is a very active participation of the European Commission, the GROW, and many other areas. The European Economic and Social Committee, EURADA, and so on. So you should feel as in your house. And these month sessions are dedicated to analyze what the European Commission calls the new industrial ecosystem that, as you know, have a European dimension. And I can show you the list of the 14 one, just for your reference. Sorry, because here, perhaps it is new for some of you, okay? We have been dedicating some days of this month to most of them, okay? For example, yesterday we spoke about electronics, and we will speak next week about health, some of them, okay? But on Monday, we will dedicate a special sessions to the guidelines for the European recovery plans that, as you know, are very important in terms of funding for the new actions from the different countries in order to fight against the effects of the coronavirus. So, Karel, I see that you are here. Welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
Would you introduce the speakers and open the session?
Sure.
Would you like to moderate also the discussion?
No. Maybe it's better you do it because you know more the technical stuff. If something goes wrong.
Okay, thank you. So,
I can do it, but just to be sure, to be on the safe side.
Okay.
Shall we start?
Yes, Karel, do you need to present something? I suppose no.
No. I will leave it to the dear speakers.
So the floor is yours. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. Wonderful. So good morning, everyone. I'm Karel van der Korte, Policy Officer, European Commission, DG GROW, mainly focusing on social economy. but since more than 1 year also on clusters, more specifically social economy clusters, or as we call them, clusters of social and ecological innovation. We are very happy that since this beautiful initiative from ECA and the European Alliance Against Corona, social economy has a fixed spot in these morning meetings, and that is why I try to assemble for you a quite nice program for today to show again the power of social economy, but also the variety of different social economy clusters. So today I invited 3 clusters again. The first one is the Grande Région cluster, social economy cluster, or économie sociale et solidaire en français. The second one is Impact Nord, which has all the characteristics of a cluster, but they don't call themselves like that. So I hope they kind of change to that pretty soon, and they recognize themselves as a cluster, because what they are doing is really great. I had the opportunity to visit them as well last year, and I think they are growing like hell. So it's a very beautiful example. And then I'm also very happy to have the last speaker, which is Sinica, if I'm pronouncing it well. And this is a cluster from Serbia. So I'm extremely happy we found a social economy cluster, not in the EU, but in a neighboring country. And this is a quite exceptional one. It's a very small one, but that doesn't matter. It's really, the idea behind is really beautiful. And with very few resources, they managed to establish a social enterprise cluster in Vojvodina. So this is what I can offer for you today. But let's start with Bernard Lahure from Grande Région in Luxembourg. And I think the specificity of this cluster and what he can bring to us is the cross-border cooperation, because Luxembourg is such a very small country. And what this cluster wants to do is to create an ecosystem for social economy where social enterprises can thrive, where they can do business, but not only within Luxembourg, but with clear ties to the neighboring countries, to Germany, to France, and to Belgium, of course. So I think that's a quite exceptional one. I'm following this one also for a while, and I think it's really a great one to show here, because this specific cross-border characteristic. So I will stop talking and just leave the floor to the dear speaker. So Bernard, and I see your colleague is also present, so it will be a dual presentation, I think. So double force today for you. So the floor is yours, and thank you very much already.
Yeah, okay.
I'm giving you the presentation right.
You can hear us.
Okay.
I hear some echo. Please, if you are not.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes. Yes, it's okay. Do you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, right. Okay. Then we make a presentation in both. I am Bernard Lahure.
Sorry. Are you going to use a presentation or not?
Not. Just to speak about. Yes, it will be easier. We have 10 minutes with the presentation. It will be quite longer. And then we prefer to speak about that. We do.
Please.
And in fact, then we are both. I am Bernard Lahure. I am the manager of EcoTransfer. And EcoTransfer is a enterprise. We manage a project, a cross-border project, and the cluster ESS, Économie Sociale Solidaire, is one of the project managed by EcoTransfer. And Frederic, with me, is a coordinator of the cluster. And then he could explain us what we do exactly in the cluster, and the particularity, as said Karel, we have a cross-border cluster, and then we work with 4 countries, with 4 different law, and 4 different approaches. Sometimes it's not easy. Then Frederic will explain you explain to us what we do exactly with the cluster. Frederic, you could follow.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to speak with you. We will be short, straight to the point, so we're open to your questions. But to talk too much on with specific points. So what I would like to first to mention what we are not.
Sorry, Frederic. Sorry.
Yes.
It seems that the microphone is directional. So if you are in the
Okay,
side,
okay, we are sharing the computer.
Please, in the center, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for the guest. Okay, good. So the cluster is not a movement. It's not a business, or it's not a federation. These exist already, and that's not what we do. The cluster actually is more intended to be a network or a community. As we say today, community is often used, maybe too often, but we would like it to be a community of people. It was launched by a bunch of people, but very, very few people actually, in 2018. Passionate people who believed that in Luxembourg and in the greater region around us, which is an area, geographical area encompassing about 10 million people, we thought there was an opportunity to opportunities and needs for the social economy actors, need for support, an opportunity also to develop, initiate projects, facilitate projects, an opportunity also to give some dynamic to the social economy ecosystem here, and finally give it also, as we are in a European context also, I think it's important that the greater region is part of Europe. It's a Europe in small, and we thought it would be interesting to offer, to launch a kind of out of the box kind of unifying idea of cluster, to unify a reality which is quite diverse. I mean, we have different countries, as you said, and so on and so on. So the cluster unifies 4 regions for the time being. We are working very closely with Meurthe-et-Moselle, which is it's in the Grand Est region. We are working closer and closer with Saarland, which will co-organize with us, SARIS, which will co-organize with us our next event. And we are also here to represent Luxembourg. It's a former industrial city, and we are based here. It's a very good opportunity so to see what happened in the region. So what we do, we are working we are working more on local economy development. We are working on local economy development. Let's mention, for example, the short supply food systems. We are supporting social entrepreneurs in developing their business, their impact, their social impact, and we are viewing opportunities also that might be the subject of another question. Our members are very small social entrepreneurs who have a view to develop their impact. We have big integration companies active in the social integration field. We have some public companies also which would like to develop their social buying and so on. And that is it for the quick presentation. The features, maybe in short, we are intended to be very practical and solution oriented. We are very on the ground, and we are listening a lot to our members. I think that they really like that. There are from what I know, few opportunities for people. I mean, today is more a day where startups in IT are the stars and are underlined, and we are more taking care of this sector, which is a bit too often under the radar screen. We are very transversal and holistic in our approach also. I think it's important we keep this view of transversal view, so we can work with a lot of different people, research centers. We can develop ideas with very different kind of people, and most of all, we can be aware of, I mean, to have a 360 angle, degree view of what's happening on the territory, on the place we are based. I think it's very important to keep that in mind. We are focused on people, but also on their projects, but also on the place where we live. I speak enough to present it. Next question, please, for us or for another cluster. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. It's an excellent introduction. I don't know. We could have some questions now, if you want, as suggested by Karel, or we could group all the questions at the end of the presentations. Why not? Is there any question from the attendants for Bernard just now?
Yes, just to precise, as Frédéric said, one of your particularity also in the cluster, your social economy, is not necessary to have a label from each country to be member of the cluster. If you have enough impact on the place where we are, you could be a member of the cluster. That Frédéric said, you have very small company and the very big. And the thing is how to make this company work together and how we could develop the impact on the field with this company. For example, at this moment in concrete action, we have we work on the circular economy plan to building reuse materials. And then when you make an analysis of this approach, it's necessary to mix normal economy and social economy to work together. And then what is one thing when we are working on the cluster is to put social enterprise in the same place to work with the non-normal enterprise to develop a new business model, a new approach. That was also a particularity of the cluster.
Yeah, congratulations. That's something that we think it's necessary to link businesses with the social aspects.
I have a question, Antonio, specifically related to this last remark. Could you go a bit more in detail about the perceived differences between small local SMEs or SMEs and social enterprises? Because we have done a quite big study a few years ago on cooperation between traditional and social enterprises, and one of the outcomes was, for example, that these differences are sometimes very much overestimated, and they are built on preoccupations. But once you put these enterprises together in a cluster or a network or whatever, we see that they have much more in common than they would think before. Is this also something that you experience, or do you see some fundamental issues? Because there are some fundamental issues from time to time, for example, in the governance model. But usually even the governance model is different in the way these businesses are operating. They might have a lot in common. So it should not be that difficult to find in the end some kind of a common ground. And that was one of the interesting, let's say, trade-offs that we saw in the study. And I would like to know if you're combining traditional enterprises and social enterprises together in a cluster, what kind of dynamism this gives. I see in the list that also people from Torino Social Impact are present, and they are kind of doing the same. So it's not a pure social economy cluster. They really want to push for cooperation outside of the social economy world, let's say. So I would like to know what your experience is in this case. Thanks.
As you said, it's very difficult to make a difference between this. And the label is something to help the policymaker to identify the things because it's easy. But when we work on the field, when we work with the SMEs, it's not this, because some SMEs have no time to have a label, no time to be involved on this, but they are a strong local impact. We know some kind of SMEs. And then the way we identify to work is the name of the cluster and the behavior of the manager of SMEs. If the manager are agreed to be identified on the social enterprise, even they have any label, and they are agreed to work with other companies to work together to develop a local business and local impact, we are in social economy. But some SMEs, smaller than they are, the manager want to work alone, to develop his business alone. And for us, we are not in social economy because the manager is working for themselves. But when the people go in the cluster, we have, at the moment it's not ready yet, but we have a charter to work together. And this charter give us the way to work together. Is with this is not necessary to have the label. We are agree with the manager of SME, with the people to work together and to develop local economy, to develop your local impact. That was by the way we work without a label. I hope I answer your questions.
Can I? Oh, sorry.
Okay. So
Yes.
Can I add something? I'm Raffaella from Torino Social Impact. Thanks,
Welcome.
Karel, for me. Hello, hi, Antonio. Thank you, Karel, for mentioning Torino Social Impact, which is a territorial partnership for the social economy, but the difference is that it is composed of public, private, profit and non-profit, their incubators, and very different partners are in the platform. And I just wanted to say that I'm very interested in your experience, because actually for us the point of boosting cooperation among the partners is the key point. And we really would like to share best practices with similar experiences and see how you develop tools to improve the cooperation among the partners, because we have actually now 86 partners at the local level, and it's complicated to make them create synergies in a very effective way. So this is the point for us. So this is just it could be fine to further discuss together.
We are agreed to discuss with you and to show how we are working. By this way, we are thinking to make a European network on the kind of this cluster. It will be quite longer to explain everything of the methodology now. We have your contact mail, and the best way to send an email, and perhaps we make a Skype together. And we are great to share your knowledge about it. And one of the key is to start slowly, and to convince everybody with the small project to start sharing information and sharing things that we call developed. But we are great to share your knowledge, of course.
Bernard, I see a question. Could you clarify which are the main economic activities, which are the main sectors represented in your cluster?
At the moment, the main activity, we are more involved on the when the topic I said before is building reuse material. We have one project is on the tube, on the pipeline. And we are also working on the social buying, how to develop the social buying for the enterprise. Another thing is local food, local distribution, because it's one also a topic is growing quite quickly at this moment. And yes, okay. And yes, it's three topics: social buying. It's also a thing to start the relationship between enterprise, social economy also, and for the concrete project is something on the food, local economy, and reuse material, building reuse material.
Okay, okay, interesting. Thank you. I just have one more question before we go to the next one. What do you mean by this transversal approach you mentioned? I guess this is referring to the trans-regional approach or not?
Yes, but the cross-border action sometimes is it's something to be difficult to develop, but also it gives you some help to build a cross action between normal enterprise and social enterprise, social economy, and then the key is on this. And but we will take time to explain this, but we prefer to that the other cluster make a presentation, and we are open to answer all of the questions by email or for another presentation.
No problem. Okay, thank you. Shall we go to the next speaker, which is Jan Willem? Jan Willem is from Impact North, which is a small, let's say, area in the north of Holland. And here Jan Willem is there.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm here.
Can you share your screen for a presentation, or you don't have?
Is it possible, Antonio? Okay, let's see.
If you go to the bottom of the screen, you see screen,
yes.
And there you can share it.
I have to change something on my computer, I see. Just a moment. Does it work? Let's see, yes. Okay, should be possible.
Otherwise,
okay, I have to restart. I have to restart the system to be able to present.
I
can do it for you,
okay,
or Antonio can do it for you.
I think that we have the presentation. If that's the case, I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me check.
I know that Karel has my presentation.
I think so.
Just one second. We fix this for you.
Okay. In the meantime, I will just start.
Okay, perfect.
So we are indeed Impact North. North means north. We represent the region of the northern 3 provinces in the Netherlands. To give you an idea, we have about 1.7 million inhabitants in total. So it's not a very big region, but it is a very close-knit region because we are in the north together, and all the provinces, they are quite similar. So today I wanted to share something about our approach. Maybe you can go to the next slide, Karel. Yeah. So this is a bit more info on our members. We are a member organization. Well, we have around 55 members currently, but I will tell a little bit more about it later. The most of these are actually social work integration enterprises, but we also have a lot of members who work on circular economy, sustainability, fair chain, or other types of social economy activities. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. So I think for us, and this is actually, I think, in relation to the discussion we just had about collaboration between social enterprises and traditional enterprises, we actually use this framework a lot to help us get more members and also set up collaborations. It's not a strict definition, but it's a very useful approach to look at enterprises. We make sort of a division between what is the enterprise mission and what is the enterprise outcome. So a traditional enterprise, number 1, for example, Shell, they have a commercial mission and they also have a commercial outcome. But there are also a lot of enterprises who are, in a sense, traditional because they have a commercial mission, but they have an aim to bring about social or ecological impact. For example, corporate social responsibility is a part of this. So those enterprises, the constructive enterprises, we also call impact enterprises. So it's sort of a new label that works quite well for us. And we put them together with the social enterprises, and the social enterprises actually have a social or ecological mission to try to change something, but they do it by selling a product or service in the economy. And last but not least, we also have enterprising non-profits, but we don't consider them actual enterprises because they don't make profit. So we aim for the companies that are collected here on sort of on the green dotted line, but we also aim to help traditional enterprises to become constructive enterprises, or enterprising non-profits to become social enterprises. And what our experience is, as Karel also mentioned just before, that it works quite well to bring them together, and that once they are in a network together, they have much more in common than they thought beforehand, and a lot of collaborations or transactions are happening actually in the real economy. So we did some research. Maybe you can go to the next slide, Karel. We did some research in the past. What are the core needs of the impact entrepreneurs in our region? Well, I won't elaborate a lot, but connection, visibility, representation, and business development were quite big needs from them. And these were things that we decided that we could actually act on our own. So this is actually how Impact North started, which is presented in the next slide, Karel. Yeah, so the core needs were actually sort of the problems that we started from, and we developed a solution to set up an active regional network. So I don't know if we are a cluster, but it sounds nice. But we are, in effect, we are actually an association with members. So businesses become members and they pay a small fee to be a member per year. We work based on trust and self-assessment. So we trust that people assess themselves as an impact entrepreneur and that they pay what they think it is worth. So often smaller organizations pay less and bigger organizations pay more, but it's not always the case. And we also have a trade-off between sort of the amount of contribution that they pay and the amount of work they add actually to our system. So some enterprises are members of the board and they do administration for the society, and it works out quite well. Aside from our members, we also partner with a lot of institutions here in the north, government, banks, universities, etc., to make sure that we have all the connections to help entrepreneurs to get to the next step or the next level, and also to better basically the conditions for the social economy. And to do this, we also organize a program for our members, but also for other businesses, government, etc., to increase visibility, to increase knowledge, and to help people become more professional in their social enterprise. Can you go to the next slide, Karel? So basically, I don't know if it's very interesting, but we basically have 3 roles as a society, as an association. First off, we have member services. This is actually what people pay for. We help them. We have exclusive meetings. We share important news and developments. We connect them together if there are possibilities of working together. We make sure that members are properly onboarded. And we have sort of an internal marketplace that is actually growing. One of our first goals was to make sure that businesses that are member of our Impact North, that they try to work together, and that invoices are only shared within our new economy, which is of course not the case just yet, but it's growing. Also, we aim to develop the local and regional ecosystem. I will tell a little bit more about that soon, but it means that we actually do this public program and that we build a lot of relations with other stakeholders and partners so that we make sure that the conditions for the social economy are as best as we can get them. And the next step is that we also do representation. Our 55 members sometimes have problems with rules, regulations, funding, etc. And because we are becoming larger and larger, we have the possibility to talk to government and actually do a little bit of lobby work to make sure that laws, regulations, and circumstances are becoming better for the social economy. Is there a next slide? Maybe a little bit about our start. We started in November 2018, so it's quite a short time ago. We were actually started by 13 businesses. and now we have 56 members who we all consider impact enterprises and who consider themselves impact enterprises. And we also grew from 2 to 11 partners. What we see is that there's a growing visibility for impact entrepreneurship in the north of the Netherlands, and that there are already a number of policies in place. For example, our local government has set aside some money for their own program, and they have actually, I don't know how the correct English term is, but they made one of the public persons available for working on the impact economy. So there's one ambtenaar, I don't know the correct word, public servant, I think, that whose work it is to connect with social enterprises and make sure that they find the right entrance with the government. Now, for us, the biggest challenge is to grow and to have continuity. As an organization, we are quite young. We are also sort of a startup, so we need to professionalize, and we have to make sure that we have enough members to cover basically the hours that we have to spend to do our work. And our aim is to grow to 200 or 300 members in the coming 2-3 years. I see that there are some questions. I don't know. I think I have 2 slides left, Karel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Let's see if I can read the question. Yeah. So this is basically Jamie asked something about ecosystem. I think this ecosystem approaches that we use is actually based on a number of theories that, for example, from Gary Higgins, who worked a lot on this in Scotland, and who's now the director of the Social Economy World Forum. And the idea is, just like with a real ecosystem, if you have like a piece of land with only grass, and you want to make a forest, then you have to not only plant trees, but also put in animals and birds and rabbits, and you have to do a lot of things at the same time. If you do only one thing, if you only put rabbits on the field, it won't become a forest. Sounds a little bit peculiar maybe, but what I'm trying to explain is that you need to work on a lot of steps at the same time, and you have to make them grow all together. So what we do is we identified 6 strategic dimensions that we have to integrate and that we have to better. For example, the networking, not only networking together with social enterprises, but also networking with other stakeholders, such as work representation or government, making sure that the knowledge, for example, at business support infrastructure is becoming better, and that they know more about impact ecosystems and impact entrepreneurship, but also making sure that there is the possibility of getting investments and finance from banks or other structures. And if you only have one of these in order, then the rest will slow it down. So you have to do it all together. So it's quite complicated, but I think for us it's working better and better to use this as our approach to grow. And I think this maybe is also the reason why Karel says that we are a cluster, but maybe you can respond on that later, Karel.
Sure.
Is there another, I think the last slide, probably. Yeah, so this is what's happening now. We started with 13 companies. One of the larger groups consists of the social enterprise work integration. And we are actually now forming sort of sub-clusters within our community around one theme. So work integration or social well-being, circularity, fair chain, etc. And we try to make a small network within our network, help them with professional advisors and possibly even finance to start projects. And the idea of these projects is not only to bring those companies who have the same challenges together and to make sure that they share knowledge and everything, but also to ask them what the challenges are, so we can use those challenges to make better lobby work and to actually make a project with them together, so that something will change and that we can create new, let's say, infrastructure in the north for example, work integration or new infrastructure for a fair chain or direct chain companies. So this is something that we are starting actually now, which also is sort of a result of the Corona crisis, because we had to help a lot of companies that are working on work integration because they couldn't do their work, and they were getting into problems with their funding, and we had to act on it. So this is what actually is the connection to Corona crisis. I think this is what I have to say. So, Karel, are you going to?
It's perfect. It's perfect within your time, and I'm very happy. And that is exactly the reason why I wanted you to present today, is that you're converging somehow from a rather network function towards a real cluster. And also that the second reason is because thanks, if I may say, to the COVID-19 crisis, you are even started sub-clusters that are really into a certain sector. And that is a bit on the difference between what usually a social economy cluster does. It's regrouping social economy enterprises, but not necessarily in one niche or one sector. And this is actually the next step that you're doing right now, which is incredibly interesting. But also you have also the, let's say, the critical mass to do so. You have also the support for from the local and the regional government.
Yes, we couldn't start with these clusters when we started out because we only had 13 members. So that was basically one cluster. But now that we have so many members and also so many new connections with let's say all the universities and local governments and you know, institutions and etc. It's actually starting to work out. And I think what happened over the last year is that in the first year we had to go to all these organizations to ask them, can we work together? And now they are all coming to us. So something has changed.
Wonderful. I see some questions. Maybe you should go quickly to the questions before we go to the next.
I hope that I answered the first question put by Jamie. Let's see the next, Francesco. Yes, so the idea of impact entrepreneurship is interesting, and in our ecosystem, do we have knowledge and tech intensive partnerships? Yes, we actually do. We work together with 3 knowledge institutions, and we actually, for example, the research that I mentioned in the beginning, we conducted it together with them, and after that we did 2 more studies of the region, actually sort of to keep up the score. Is what we are doing, is it having an effect or not? And of course, we are not the only actors here. The government is doing stuff. They're building a program. And what we see is that a number of stakeholders are taking action, changing their system, changing their infrastructure, putting people on the task. It's actually going way slower than I considered beforehand, and it has to do a lot with people who are not yet on the level that we need them to be with their knowledge. So we have to make sure that they get training and that they get enough knowledge about social and impact entrepreneurship so that they can actually help these companies. So I hope that is a good answer to this question. Let's see to the next one. I don't know, what's the question by Adrian?
It's not really a question, it's rather an additional comment about the sustainability cost and the perceived differences between social enterprises and traditional. It's quite interesting, but it's not a question, so maybe we can already go to Aurora. About
so could you go to the slide with the 4 quadrants?
Yeah.
So it isn't actually said that if constructive enterprises have a social or ecological effect, that it's not for-profit activities. So a lot of these companies, for example, we have one company who is actually a financial advisor company. They do your bookkeeping and accountancy and advice, etc. But the company is owned by all the employees, which of course makes sure that the employees work harder than in a normal company. So it actually has a good economic effect.
So a corporate.
They try to use as least possible amount of paper as possible, which is quite a challenge if you are a bookkeeper. But they actually managed it to do everything electronically, which saves a lot of costs for them. So for them, a number of the things that they do are actually also a cost saver, and not just not just something only to do for the ecological effect. And what is particularly interesting with this company is that they actually got a few clients from this network. So they actually got a number of social enterprises as their client, but those social enterprises are now asking questions that they never had to answer before, which means that this bookkeeper has to develop sort of a new methodology to help social enterprises. So slowly, step by step, they are becoming more knowledgeable, and they are making new systems that work better for social enterprises, which means that they are more attractive for social enterprises to become a client. And they're actually building something that wasn't there before. And even if we stop now, that's already a nice effect that they're trying to make. Instead of a financial report, like they're trying to make an integrated report with financial and social and ecological outcome of companies. It's not something that's finished, but it's a start.
If I may, can I suggest to go for the next speaker? Because if not,
sure.
But congratulations, Jans. And I totally agree. You are a cluster. You are a wonderful example of bottom-up cluster.
As Karel said, we should sign up, so I'm waiting for the invitation.
I think so, totally. Cluster are collaborative realities, and that's the point. You are a big reality. Thank you.
Okay,
so,
we go to another reality, and it might be very different, but I think it's very important to also show the next cluster, because Siniša is, as I said, coming from Serbia, and if you see what kind of support that Jan Willem receives from the, let's say, his ecosystem and definitely the government, I'm afraid that is a bit different for Siniša, but nevertheless, I invited Siniša to show how a cluster might also arise with very little support and in a very small way, and still can help the social economy thrive from scratch. So in an area where barely social economy was existing, to a more developed social economy ecosystem, which is quite unique in Serbia itself. So that only this fact is a great acknowledgement of what Siniša is doing with Vojvodina cluster. But I will let him explain himself what the cluster is doing and how he tries to push social entrepreneurship in his region and by extension in Serbia. So please, Siniša, have a go.
Thank you, Karel. Thank you for opportunity to present our story, our cluster story, if I could say. Okay, I'm Siniša Tešić. I'm project manager of the cluster of social entrepreneurship in Vojvodina. Vojvodina is the north part or north region.
Sorry, Siniša. Could I suggest to put the presentation in full screen mode?
Okay, of course. Of course.
Perfect. Thank you. Go on, please.
Great. Okay. First, I think that is I could say that this question: what is social economy? Based on that question, we have what is social enterprise. As you see on the pictures, impact is the biggest word on these pictures, and maybe impact. Exactly, impact is something that make the social enterprise different from traditional and other type of enterprise. Picture of social entrepreneurship in Serbia is not, if I could say, not so good. We don't have any framework about social economy in Serbia. We don't have a law or policy or nothing if I could say. We use European Union experience and definition about social entrepreneurship. When we start a story about the cluster of social entrepreneurship, we find that don't exist any corporation based on practice experience in social economy in Serbia. We have lots NGO, big NGO initiative to just make the policy level, but not so example who use the practice company and corporation of the practice company in social economy. Also, start point for the CASPA was employment of vulnerable group of people as a part of the social economy. If I could say important part, because a lot of initiative based on the employee or women entrepreneurship or people with disability or other people from the vulnerable group. Purpose of the cluster is better connect economy, education, institution, and research organization in the field of social entrepreneurship or in social economy. That was our start point, how we think when we start to prepare or to establish the cluster. Main objective of the cluster is to support the social economy in Serbia, educate and enhance members of the cluster to be competitive and innovative in social economy. Most important word for me in social economy is competitive and innovative. It is really hard to say social economy be, but I try in my work to strive that goal. As I said on the map, that is north part with the red of Serbia, that cluster most operates. Cluster of social entrepreneurship, acronym is CASPA, established in 2016. We have 15 members, but we just try to make improvement for that members, and we not go on massive every initiative, but we try to really explain why somebody in some organization is social, why some organization and company is social enterprise. Our members come from different economy activity. For example, they are leather industry, footwear manufacturing industry, wood products industry, printing service, sparkling water production. We have one company who produce the water, organic production, and we have few ecology initiatives as a members. As I said, most members came from the Vojvodina, that is north region of the Serbia. We cluster work on the advocacy but on the region of Vojvodina. It's really hard to I think that our government authority not understood social entrepreneurship in deep, or in whole approach of the social entrepreneurship. We have open question with the charge of the social entrepreneurship on the national level. That is charged in Ministry of the Labor and Employment Services, but not in Ministry of Economy. And there we have open question to the full understanding of the social economy. But CASPA tried to advocacy in the region of the Vojvodina level and government of the region of Vojvodina, and we create together with the province government part of the economy council for social economy in the region of Vojvodina. That is really important for us, because last year was the first pilot project, if I could say. They create a line for support, financial line for the support social economy in the region of Vojvodina. As I said, we try to make impact for the national level, but not so much just try to advocacy on the region where the cluster operates. Some services that cluster provide for the members, but also we would like to support other organizations who strive the social economy is we provide information, education, project management. We try to create joint projects with our member, new services, social innovation for improvement of social economy. Most important most important for our work is the social innovation, and we try to find some social innovation together with our members and to create some new value for if I could say society. Okay. Other thing that we do, and it is really important for us, is education youth about social economy, and we try to create some programs for the youth as a young leader in social economy, because we saw that from youth, from new educate and smart youth who have sensitive for the social economy is really crucial and important future stuff in this field. Also, we educate our members, management, to be, as I said, competitive and innovative in social economy, who is not so different than traditional economy, is different based on impact, but must be on the market, must be, if I could say, profit, but distribution of the profit is different thing in social economy. This is my favorite picture and a start point for different activity and work which we do. This is some graph who explain role of social enterprise in different organizations in society. Horizontal is the impact, vertical is the profit. As you see, most corporations have profit but don't have impact. Most NGO organizations have impact, but they not on the market. They don't have products or services. Most government organizations don't have impact and then don't have direct profit. But social enterprise must have impact and must be profitable to be sustainability on the market. Based on that, some of the cluster activity, as I said, innovation in focus. For example, this is some of our work in last period, and now we also developed that. For example, one is the employment for all platform for better employment people with disability. We saw in Serbia that that topic is very important, and we have support from the government based on the law. I think all Europe have a law about employment people with disability, and we find that we have chance to make cooperation with the profit company. That is our crucial understanding, that you must, as a social enterprise, you must be on the market, and you have additional activity as a project management and support from the different kind or different donor, but you must be with the product or services on the market. Also, we try to educate. We create social interchanging board game for education about social entrepreneurship and the role of social entrepreneurship in society. And also we create a website or platform responsible for better cooperation, profit companies with social enterprise. I hope that I try to close you something that's cluster in Serbia with really not so good environment for the social enterprise try to do, but we believe that we continue and better work in the future. I'm open for all questions. Thank you for attention.
You are very welcome, and congratulations for all you are doing there. We have few minutes, but I think that we could take some questions. Are there questions from the attendants? No? Yes.
Alessandro, I have a question because we are doing a lot. We are working, let's say, or we are trying to improve some activity around education on social economy, social entrepreneurship, because we do believe that it's really a mindset that should be integrated way more in basic education and also in how economics are taught. So I'm quite surprised that you are also working on that, and I wanted just to ask you, do you have like an ad hoc model, because I see you have a board game? Do you have an ad hoc cooperation with education? Is it like higher education, or is it a very structural cooperation that you have to teach, or is it how do you make it happen, or is it pure outside the official education that people can come to you to have, let's say, some ideas on how to start a social business, or how should we see that? Thank you.
Yes, first of all, I must thank you for the question. I must say that most of the activity we try to prepare with project support or project management, and we have a cooperation with the University of Novi Sad economy faculty, and we prepared some projects for Erasmus based on the future manager in social economy, and a game was the part of that education. We start with a curriculum for that education, but game is as additional value for that program, if I could name that. We just doing on the debt. We have some draft version, but we wait Erasmus call, new Erasmus call to prepare application and apply.
Okay, wonderful. Good to know. Thank you very much.
Also, we are open for partnership. You have my contacts, and we could speak about that if you're interested in.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing.
You could share your email if you want in the chat. If you are free to do that, okay? If you want, okay? Or even we can share your presentation if you agree on our on the ECCP web page, and so that will open the possibility to receive contacts from other clusters, social cluster or industrial clusters. Okay, so thank you everyone for the session. There has been some very interesting questions that are open, even possibilities. I know that Rafaela and I think to us Bernard spoke about the possibility to exchange ideas about how to mobilize the members. Why not? We could organize one specific session on that here if you want, okay? Anyway, you are invited to participate in the rest of the morning session. For you are seeing in the screen now the program for this month. Okay, next Monday we are going to speak about the recovery plans. It has been published past Tuesday some guidelines on how to define them, and your actions could be part of those recovery plans. So we are trying to help you, help everybody to understand what is required from the countries on those recovery plans, and how can we make suggestions or propose actions for those recovery plans. So you are invited to join us. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Antonio. See you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.